remarkable development overnight in the Guyana-Venezuela controversy. You will recall that Venezuela had this referendum on Sunday the 3rd. But even before that, Guyana had moved to the International Court of Justice for some interim orders. And the International Court of Justice ruled, among other things, that both parties should do nothing to alter the territory as it exists now. Fancy legal language and all of that. So the referendum was held on Sunday, December the 3rd in Venezuela. They had 5 questions. And if you recall, question 3 speaks about them not recognizing the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice to resolve this matter. And question 5, if I remember correctly, speaks about them annexing and making Essequibo a state of Venezuela and issuing ID card to the people in Essequibo and all of that. And, you know, it was disappointing to read that the people saying, including the vice president, the second vice president, saying that somebody gave the assurance that Venezuela would not invade Guyana and all kind of talk they had. So much so that leading up to such an important issue, both the second vice president, the president, they went to Dubai for some climate change conference. So that shows the priority that they had. That showed the priority. So Venezuela had the referendum on Sunday, and as to be expected, the people voted overwhelmingly to support yes in terms of the 5 questions. And again, to read the second vice president saying that the referendum was a failure. By what standard? How are you measuring this failure? Because we had said here, and I said before, that if 10 people turn up, Venezuela propaganda machine will kick in, and they're going to tell you how the people turn out in the large numbers to vote yes. And that is exactly what happened. So regardless of what numbers you're going to say turned up, Venezuela is saying that the 98%, I think, of the persons voted in favor of the 5 questions that were asked. And last night, let me read it here. Let me read what has transpired overnight. Overnight, the Venezuelan president met with the government council, and they now started to give effect to the questions that were asked in the referendum, the questions that were affirmed in the referendum. And it says, President Maduro, and this is only last night, you know, President Maduro highlighted the overwhelming approval, 98%, of recognizing the Geneva Agreement as the sole instrument for the practical solution. Additionally, more than 97% of the voters rejected the 1899 arbitral award imposed by the Monroe Doctrine. So basically, we're saying here, 98% say that forget about the ICJ and the 1899 arbitral award, it should go to the Geneva Agreement. But the process that we have, the Guyanese have, is in keeping with the Geneva Agreement. Because the Geneva Agreement, after Venezuela made this spurious claim in 1962 or somewhere around then, they had the Geneva Agreement, which says that you should have this good officer process. In other words, both countries are going to appoint people to discuss the issue. The Geneva Agreement also provided that if that process failed, the United Nations Secretary General shall determine how the matter is going to be handled. So the good officer process failed, and in 2018, the coalition government threw it back to the United Nations Secretary General for this matter to be resolved. The United Nations Secretary General decided the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, will resolve the issue. Venezuela make nice, said that they don't recognize the ICJ jurisdiction. The ICJ on 2 occasions ruled that they have jurisdiction to try the case. When Venezuela participated a few weeks ago in this interim measure sought by Guyana, they made it clear that the fact that they are participating does not mean that they recognize that the ICJ has jurisdiction. So they signaled long ago what the intention would have been. And we sat down and we cussing out people on a Thursday, and we're doing all manner of things, and we have not, in my view, taking the measures that are necessary. We talk about rallying public support, educating people in Guyana, and very belatedly, they start issuing jerseys. I know, even with the jerseys, I have seen certain things. I know from school, unlike the man 83, I went to school and they taught me that the national motto is one people, one nation, one destiny. That is the national motto. All of a sudden, you're about one Guyana. One Guyana is not a national motto. One Guyana is a political slogan. And it's all right for the political party, the PPP, to have their political slogan, but that is not the national motto. And to see some of these signs that they are putting up, talking about bringing people together, talking about patriotism and all of that, get the PPP slogan, One Guyana. Even the T-shirts that we were calling on over the months for them to issue, and caps and posters and placards and all this type of thing, some of them have this PPP slogan in it. So I don't know where we're going. So that is it. One of the things that Venezuela said, 97% of the voters rejected the 1899 arbitral award imposed by the Monroe Doctrine. Another issue that they said, President Maduro announced the establishment of an integral defense zone of Guyana Essequibo, you know, the spell it their way, with administrative and military headquarters in Tumarimo. Major General Alexis Rodriguez Cabello was appointed as the sole authority. So in other words, what they said last night, what the Venezuelan President Maduro, and if you break it down in syllables, is Maduro. Maduro said that they have created the establishment of a defense zone in Guyana Essequibo. Listen to this carefully. With the administrative and military headquarters in Tumarimo. Major General Alexis Rodriguez Cabello was appointed as the sole authority. In other words, Venezuela appointed a governor for Essequibo. That's how I interpret it. A major general, a person in military rank, as the governor, basically, as the sole administrator for Essequibo. They go on to say that PDVSA and CVG. Let me tell you what this is all about. PDVSA and CVG were given, the directives were given to PDVSA and CGV to create Essequibo divisions and branches and issue license for oil and gas, and mining exploration immediately. Now the PDVSA, basically, I know Spanish, but they say it's Petroleos. Petroleos is a state-owned oil company. So they have given permission for this state-owned oil company to issue license in for exploration and so on in Essequibo. And the CVG is a corporation, Venezuela de Guyana, is a state-owned Venezuelan metal conglomerate located in Guyana region in the southeast of the country. That is the southeast of Venezuela. So these are two state entities, according to what Maduro is saying. These two state entities are to create Essequibo divisions and branches and issue license for oil, gas, and mining exploration immediately. So they are expected to issue license for mining and so on in Essequibo, in our Essequibo. It goes on to say a new map of Venezuela is to be published in schools, high schools, and university. A new map of Venezuela is to be published. And the new map will incorporate Essequibo as part of Venezuela. This is last night, folks. These are some of the decisions that came out of came from the president last night in Venezuela. It goes on to say, President Maduro announced the initiation of population census operation in the Essequibo territory and the commencement of an identification process. Let me read it back. President Maduro announced the initiation of a population census operation in Essequibo territory and the commencement of an identification process. In other words, they are going to go to Essequibo to do a census and to commence an identification process. That is what Maduro said last night. He goes on, and listen to this carefully. a special law will be enacted to terminate concessions granted by Guyana within 3 months. And also, President Maduro invited all companies to negotiate with the Venezuelan government. In other words, what he is saying here, that ExxonMobil and all of those persons who have concession there, mining in Essequibo, the current oil and gas arrangement, that there's a special law will be enacted to terminate the concessions granted by Guyana. So all concessions granted by the government of Guyana, Venezuela plans to pass a law within 3 months to terminate all of those contracts. And he's saying that those persons who are there, the people like Exxon and them, must negotiate with the Venezuelan government if they want to continue operating in the area. That is what they say. They go on to say a special law will decree environmental protection areas in the Guyana, Essequibo, and National Park. Again, let me read about a special law will decree environmental protection areas in the Guyana, Essequibo, and National Park. So they're going to pass a law to say, basically, as I interpret it, that the whole Essequibo now, they're going to identify national parks and all of that. I know, as far as I know, once an area has been declared a national park, it means certain operations cannot be conducted there. Certain operations cannot be conducted, so they're going to tell you can't mine. So all of those itinerant miners and all those people are likely to hear very soon that they can't continue to mine in the area, I suspect, unless they get permission from the Venezuelan government. And then they say, President Maduro established a high commission for the defense of Essequibo, Guyana, involving various governmental bodies and sectors. Again, when President Maduro established the High Commission for the Defense of Essequibo, involving various government bodies and sectors. That is last night, friends. That is what took place last night in Venezuela. And what do we have? Nothing silence. The president made a statement last night, basically saying about reaction what he had said before. And then it goes on. The last point here, then they say President Maduro authorized the start of a social attention plan for the population of Guyana Essequibo. Again, President Maduro authorized the start of a social attention plan for the population of Guyana Essequibo. So he gets some plan that he's authorizing for the social attention plan, a social attention plan for the population of Essequibo. This is the country, Venezuela, that can't even look after their own self. Hyperinflation, people running all over the world. But he has a social attention plan for the population of Essequibo. And lastly, he says, President Maduro ordered the execution of a census and the delivery of identity cards to the inhabitants of Guyana Essequibo. Again, President Maduro ordered the execution of a census and the delivery of identity card to the inhabitants of Essequibo. Now, how are you going to conduct a census? As I know it, you got to go better house to house and you conduct a census. So it simply means that the Venezuelan authorities are going to come to Essequibo and they're going to go house to house. That is what they're saying. That is how I interpret it. To conduct a census and with a view to issue an identification card to all persons in Essequibo. I have read this thing over and over since I received it. And I have given you, and that is not the whole thing, but some of the points that I believe are very important. And what happened? What happened? People are not, I don't think this information is being passed out. Why? Guyanese need to know what is going on, especially people in Essequibo need to know what is going on. Let me bring in CC for him to have his say on this. CC, I've given a mouthful there for what I have read. I'm sure you will want to make your give your 2 cents as well. Go ahead, please.
True to form, the Venezuelans said from the inception that they're not going to abide with any decision by the ICJ or any other ruling. They made it clear that they're not going to. So actually, what they have done is annex Essequibo virtually. They ain't come physically, but virtually they have annexed Essequibo. And let me talk about Essequibo because Essequibo includes some other rivers, the Cayuni, the Mazaroni, the Potaro, the Rupunoni, the Waini, the Burimo, the Imbatiro, the Moruco, the Yarakito, and several other rivers where they have mining and other operations there. And here's it, Venezuela saying, hey, ExxonMobil within and others within 3 months, you have to cease operation and you gotta apply to us for things. Venezuela is showing a lot of power, and they're not only showing a lot of power. The true to form what they say they're gonna do, they started to act on it. And what we doing? President making bits and pieces of as statements, nothing firm, nothing firm. Bits and pieces. He's talking about. But the fear of the Guyanese community is there. Not only those living in Guyana, but those overseas. I went to Puerto Rico last Sunday, and here one man tell me joking. He says, "CC, by early next year, you gotta get visa to come to Puerto Rico because Venezuelan gonna take it." My little niece, 8 years old, came from Kokwani to visit us, and she said, "Uncle Clinton, it's true that Venezuelan coming and take over Guyana, and they're coming for all we, you know." The thing is, the fear is there, and the president talking about making Guyana and the other and the Caribbean and the, South America a region of peace. Before we concentrate on Guyana, you get abroad. The Jamaicans say you must bad a yard before you bad outside, bad a yard, and they're not really dealing with this thing as they ought to. This is serious business. As saying over and over again, the president has got to address the nation properly. Not no piecemeal effort. Piecemeal effort will only produce piecemeal results. Make a proper statement to the nation, address the nation